Put it on me. Hi. We're going to learn how to make Spätzle today. Spätzle are little egg noodles. So what I did is I don't really measure, so unfortunately we have to take it like this. This is a bowl that I make it in for my, I forgot what my mixer is called. KitchenAid. So first you put some flour, it's regular heavy, all-purpose flour. Then I take some salt, and it's regular iodized sea salt. And I take about this much, and you're going to adjust that as you go. And so when you finish the teig, which is the dough, you're going to taste it. But anyway, you just mix that in. Then what you're going to do is take about 5 or 6 eggs, and naturally you're not supposed to crack them directly into the bowl, just in case. So these are homegrown Oregon eggs, so we'll just check them before we stick them in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and really what this is just a hand-cut egg noodle. And so you're going to put that in there. The only thing that you add to it other than the flour and the salt is water. You don't use milk. Milk is for German pancakes. Here's the size of the pot you want to use. And so once we make the dough, we'll finish making the dough, you're going to fill this pot up and then boil the water. You're going to put some salt in it, and then that's what you cut the Spätzle into. But I'll finish filling it up, and then we'll go over and look at the teig and show you the consistency of the teig.
Okay, here we go, recording again.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you how much. You need a pretty well a pot full, because you're going to cut the Spätzle into there. The Spätzle, when you first cut them in, they go to the bottom, and they kind of sink to the bottom, and then as they're done cooking, they will float to the top. So we're just going to get this ready, and I'm going to put a little bit more salt in it. Excuse me. I'm going to put a little bit more salt. You're supposed to put salt in the water too. I often think put a little bit. I often think when you make the Spätzle, you have to put enough salt in to kill a horse. Anyway, now we're going to go over to the KitchenAid with this, and I need a water. Okay, so now we have our dough. We're going to start making it on the KitchenAid. This is the mixer for like a bread dough, and some, just some general beating things. Yeah, it's a pallet kind of. Paddle. Anyway, I'm going to start it off real slow, just so the eggs get mixed up. And then what we add to it is water. So I'll just start pouring some water in. You want to be conservative, because the main thing you're looking for is a certain elasticity of the dough. So you got to let it get good and mixed. I'm going to crank it up a little bit. Now if you look at it, see the way it's kind of elastically sticking to the edges? That's a good sign. That's a good sign, there you go. It's a good sign. It starts smelling pretty good too right now. It smells like the dough.
And it's yellow. What kind of dough did you use?
What kind of flour? It's just regular all-purpose flour. What makes it the yellow color are the eggs. Okay, so you want to have a pretty elastic mixture. No, we're going to beat it some more, but no bubbles in it. No, like chunks.
Smooth.
Then you're going to taste it. You're going to taste it. Show. Yeah. It tastes kind of icky right now, but you want to taste that it's salty enough.
It tastes like dough.
Yeah, it's salty enough.
It's salty. It's salty.
And so I would add a little bit more salt. I'm going to go and get it.
But the water's good.
Yeah, the water is enough. add a little bit of dough, a little bit of salt. And I'm going to crank it up just a little bit. But I'm going to also show you what you have to do in case you don't have a KitchenAid. My mom used to beat this by hand, and if you have to beat it by hand, it's kind of hard. It really is. And so I'm going to take the dough paddle off, clean it up, and you see how it's kind of sticking together. It's kind of looks like boogies kind of sticking.
Like paste.
Yeah. Well, not really. It's kind of hard to describe, but you want it to kind of be elastic. That's the best thing. I know that there's a cooking term for elastic. Mm-hmm. What you have to do in case you don't have a mixer, but I do highly recommend the KitchenAid, is you have to mix it starting like this, and then so you get air in the dough, you have to beat it like that.
Can you use a hand electric mixer with just the two little beater things?
I don't think it's strong enough, but you could try it.
Okay.
Anyway, here's how you tell whether it's elastic. When you see it kind of sticks to itself.
Yep. That's what I think we're looking for.
That's exactly it.
Consistency.
Now, the thing is, when you let the dough sit, you have to let it rest for about a half hour. But if you let the dough rest longer than that, it starts to get too stiff. And so we're going to let it rest for about a half hour.
Go.
So as you are waiting we added the water to boil now. And actually, I should put a cover on it because it'll boil faster. Well, that doesn't fit.
Oh my God! We're not prepared. Pause.
Okay, I'll cover it.
Okay, it's supposed to be covered, folks. So take our word for it.
Pretend it's covered. So what you're going to need in preparation is a colander, and I have this thing. Or you could use something like this.
I have.
You're going to need
good.
something to remove the spätzle from the top of the water
Gotcha.
when it's done. What I usually use is, hold on, let me get the top of the pan. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the spätzle, when it's ready, we're going to put it on a board and cut it in. But what you do after you're done is when it's all...
you fish it out with the strainer.
When it's all cooked, you're going to fish them out with the strainer, put them in here, and then put them in the sink and wet them off with a spray.
And rinse them off.
And so we're going to let our water boil, and then we'll go for it.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. Go.
Okay, so now we're going to cut the noodles. So you see that the water's boiling. It has to be a pretty good boil, not just, thinking about it. First thing you're going to want to do is put your board in here. And once you get your board wet, it'll kind of keep the dough from sticking to it a little bit. So our dough has sat out. You can see it still maintains its elasticity. Okay, now this is the fun part. You got to get a little bit of dough out of here when it's all sticky and icky. So there, you put some dough on it, and now you got to kind of start working the dough. So I put this in there, and you got to wet the dough and kind of smash it out. And the reason you wet the dough is because it smashes easier. You're going to bring it to this beveled edge and start cutting just little tiny bits at a time. Okay?
And I want to try that in a bit here. So.
Yeah, Jean will try it in a minute. So you put this in here, and then you smash it out flat. And then you go like this. Now the goal is to get small noodles. They're called Spätzle. Again, we were saying le means small in German. And so you want to get small noodles, although some people like Jean like the big fat ones. Those are called Spätzle. And so anyway.
Spätzle me.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut them. And the first batch that you do is really your test batch. You're going to want to taste it and see is it enough salt. And it's a nice uniform motion. You don't have to pick the schaber, which is the cutter. This is a schaber. You don't have to pick it up once you get started.
And you're gonna kind of feed it up the board?
Yeah, you kind of feed it from the top of the board down to the beveled edge. Now, you don't have to time them. And I wet my board again so it's nice and clean and not sticky when I get ready to go. Put this down. Now you're going to take and you're going to stir them. What happens is by the time you cut the entire board, normally the noodles will be cooked. So when I first started cooking them, the noodle, Gene is drooling. He's having a Spätzlegasm. So normally the first batch is just for tasting. So what you do, excuse me, ooh, that's hot. I need some. Okay, so you take your top of your thing like this, and so you don't drip water. So here's your.
Don't burn yourself.
Yep, you don't burn yourself. And then you take these out.
So they don't got to cook long.
No. Normally by the time you're done cutting the noodles, they're almost done. I usually leave them maybe about another minute and a half.
Okay.
So
I got to stand back to get both in the frame.
So there you go. You put this down, and then you dump this. You put this in here. You dump out the water, and then you rinse them. And why you're rinsing them is because you want them to get cold. You want them to stop cooking. Okay?
Rinse them with cold water.
Rinse them with cold water. Then you taste. This is a Spätzle, and this is a Spätzle. So here.
Good. Oh.
I think the water needs a little bit more salt.
I think you're right. Uh-huh. So the cooking water is going to get a dousing of salt. And not very much, just a generous
Maybe
handful.
about a tablespoon.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a smaller pot top because that one's kind of heavy for my hand.
Yeah, that was good consistency and good taste, but just a tiny bit more sugar, yeah? I mean salt.
Okay, so I'm going to do one more, and then it'll be Gene's turn.
Then it'll be my turn.
My turn.
Look for perfectly rounded big Spätzle.
Okay, so you got to do this part kind of fast because you see it starts going every which way.
The dough.
The dough starts wanting to seep over the edge. That's why I got Gene a little bit bigger of a Spätzle Brett. So you smash it down, and you start cutting.
And I hope none of my scraps get on fire. If you see it, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
Okay.
concentrating.
And it's kind of a rhythm that you get with this, to be truthful.
Yeah, practice, I get you. That's all I actually remember Mom doing, is just dipping the board in the
Yep.
water. They keep it.
Well, and when she used to make them, she used a knife.
No, well, I don't remember. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
She never had a cutter, because
Really?
I remember the first time I saw the cutter, it was like, oh, this is weird.
Okay.
Oh, now, okay, so here, look. Now that which you already did, you've let them drain enough, you loosen them up so it's not one big wad. You
Yeah.
put them in another bowl, and now you continue. So these are ready. You see they're all floating to the top.
Right.
I usually give them a little bit of stir, make sure they're all cooking good.
Don't let them clump up.
Yeah, don't let them clump up. And that's not hard. The salt is what keeps them from clumping up. Anyway, these are about ready.
And I have the perfect size bowl for my calendar at home to
Oh, good.
do that. And I got a bigger, it's kind of like that thing there. It's a KitchenAid.
Mixer.
No, the
Oh, sorry.
streamer or whatever that thing is.
Okay.
Okie doke.
So again, we're going to rinse them.
So unless I can get Doreen to hold his camera and watch me do it, we might have to take a pause.
No, I'll hold the camera next. Well, take a pause, and then we'll... And so he's taking a little bit of dough, putting it on the board.
This is just practice for Jeannie.
Jeannie. All right.
You guys always used to call me.
All right, so now he's getting his dough. It's not really focused very well.
It'll autofocus.
Oh,
Just
okay.
press the. You got
All
the
right.
button going?
Yeah, the button's going. We're recording. So don't... It's way too big. Keep your shabber on the board. Yeah, there you go. That's the way. More water. Dip it. Give it a little dippity-do. Move the dough closer to the edge. Now flatten it out. There you go. Water. Dip it in the water.
God, I'm gonna roll.
Okay.
If I can get this right, then I can start fine-tuning my...
Right. Okay. It's good. However, everybody's got their own technique. I just have watched Mom for so many years that... Okay. So we're going to look at what he did. Let me see in the bowl.
Well, I took a lot less than you did
Okay.
too. Let's move that around. But I like the size.
Okay.
That's not bad.
All
Yeah,
right.
for a rookie.
Okay, now get your pan top and the whole 9 yards. You're going to...
Now put these in there.
Yep. There you go. The pan top's in there. Yep, there you go. Now, when you put them in there, the pan top gets hot, so...
I got you. I'm feeling you, girl. I can do this.
I know you can. Just takes practice. You'll do a good job.
The girls are going to like their noodle. Come over to Dad's house dinner. Okay.
Okay. Now rinse them.
Now rinse them.
Rinse them
Gonna rinse them. Rinsing, boss.
with the spray. Here, hold on. Let me look in there. There you go, Jean's first Spätzle. All right. We're going to take a kleine Unterbrechung. Here, let me see how it tastes.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. That's a happy boy.
It's not as salty as your choice.